Welcome everybody to Pinstripe Chronicles. I am Tats. I am here with Donald and Rob, and leading off today is a little something different. I'm going to pass the mic over to Donald. Donald, make your statement.
I quote Brian Cashman, the only thing that stopped us was something that was so illegal and horrific. I get offended when I start hearing 2009 because I'm like, well, I think we actually did it the right way. We pulled it down, brought it back up, drafted well, traded well, developed well, signed well. The only thing that derailed us was a cheating circumstance that threw us off. And I'm like, people are like, yeah, we haven't in the World Series since 2009. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think it's as true a statement as it can be. Here's the reality. We haven't been in the World Series since 2009. You know, it might not like it, Cashman, but that is the reality. You might not like the facts, but that is in fact the facts. And from that statement, nowhere is there even a word accountability. Maybe I could have done things better over the last 12 years. You know, what's his excuse for between 2010 to 2017 when we missed the playoffs for 2 or 3 years? What's his excuse for that? Is that the Astros as well? What's the excuse for the last 5 years? Is that the Astros as well? I mean, where is the accountability here? And what is this stuff about? I mean, let's get the violins out, people. We drafted well. We did things the right way. We traded well. Well, excuse me, but how well have you actually drafted? Because the only all-star that you've really properly developed is Aaron Judge. I mean, name me someone that you've developed that has played well for 3 years over this span in the last 30 years, 20 years under Brian Cashman's leadership. You can't name one. Torres came from Chicago, and even he's only been good for about 2 years. Sanchez was good, but he was good for 2 years, and then he's been a mess ever since then. Name me a pitcher that he's developed. You know, Severino, he's been hurt for 3 years. You can't name one anything other than that. So I even refute that comment. Oh, we've drafted well, we've developed well. No, you haven't. You've been average at both. And then we traded well. Who have you traded well for? Aaron Hicks been a complete disaster. So we go through this, and there's no accountability. And what I'm seeing here is he's verbalized the belief that the Yankees are using the Astros in 2017 as a crutch rather than a motivator. That should be your motivator. You know, what happened when the Yankees lost the World Series to the Diamondbacks? What did Steinbrenner do? What's it going to take for me to get Jason Giambi? Right? Now, that's an example of an owner or a leadership that are like, what's it going to take to get better, to show our fans that we're not going to take this shit anymore? If you really did feel that we got completely screwed. But then if you also look at this whole Astros thing, or the Astros are the only thing that denied us in 2017, well, I think there's some facts here. Joe Girardi had that team play well above the sum of its parts in 2017. Far above, that team was not prepared for a World Series, and they ended up playing far above their abilities, right? And the Yankees, what did the Yankees end up doing? They fired Girardi. So again, that's another hole in Cashman's argument because he got rid of Girardi right after. And another thing, the Yankees scored 3 runs in the 4 losses to the Astros in that series. 3 runs. That had nothing to do with sign stealing. So you go through it, his argument has so many holes, it's Swiss cheese, but there's no accountability. And all this is about man. He's desperate. He sees that the narrative has changed within the Yankee fan base. They're annoyed at him for not spending. And so all he's doing is spinning. He's spinning. What kind of excuse can I come up with now for the fact that we haven't been very good in about 12 years? Oh, it's the Astros. Something to do with me. I've been great. It's Hal's budget, you know? So what else could be? Oh, it's the mandate to re-sign Aaron Judge, which we're not done yet. And it's all excuses. It's all spin, and he's relying on the Yankees, Yankee supporting media like Heyman and these guys to go to bat for him. And then he's got some shills in the fan base who defend this. This is all bullshit. How dare you? How freaking dare you completely bamboozle and gaslight Yankee fans on a permanent basis with this bullshit, because all this is freaking lies.
So, yeah, who could argue with that one? Really, the thing is, it's like, all right, yeah, there's the show right there. See you later. But the problem is the fans. We're as much to blame as Cashman, because we were screaming at we never get it right. We want we were screaming that we need that pitcher. We need that ace. We don't have a pitching staff that's postseason ready, because like in 2017, like you were stating, the games were close. The postseason games have been close. The pitching is not giving us the L's the offense has. They're not getting their hits when they're supposed to. They weren't hitting with runners in scoring position. They were hitting into a million double plays. Cashman went out and got the ace that all the fans were screaming for. And his first postseason appearance, he gets lit up by the Red Sox. So, the pitching is not the problem. The offense has been the problem. And this offseason, you had the offensive and defensive players on the market. This is where it ties back into Cashman. They had the players on the market that he could have gotten to fill in all those holes. Like they did in years past when his father was in charge, when George was around. They could have plugged in, said, you know what, screw this. Let's just get the shortstop that's supposed to, that's a superstar. That ended up signing a very friendly contract with the Twins. Any team could have signed that contract.
Cashman ended up helping the Twins get Correa with that.
Yeah, they even helped them.
Yeah.
But it's not that, like we said, it's not that he's not making the moves. He's not making the right moves at the right time. That's been Cashman's problem. And to turn around and blame everybody else but himself, that's not, now you're just slapping us in the face. That's it. Rob, your thought.
I mean, look, the only people that should like what Brian Cashman said are the ones that despise the Astros no matter what. The fact of the matter is I've said I don't care anymore about 2017, the cheating stuff, whatever. I don't care, because the league already gave out its punishment. They basically shrugged it off, so why should I care anymore? And yeah, it didn't affect us. They're not the reason we lost that series. Yep. We're the reason we lost that series, because we couldn't score. And we lost the first two games 2-1. We scored 2 more runs in one of those games. Guess what? We're American League champions that year. So you can miss me with that whole narrative that the Astros cheating cost us a World Series appearance. This would have won. I think we would have given the Dodgers a really good fight. I don't know if we would have beat them. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But we would have been there had we scored 2 more runs in game 1 or game 2. And if you look at the Astros offense in that series, aside from game, I think 7, they didn't score much either. So if they were stealing signs, they weren't doing a very good job of it. And unless they were able to find a way to cheat to pitch only in their stadium, then give them another trophy, because then they did a really good job of cheating twice. But here's the thing. We lit them up in the Bronx, but we just could not hit in Houston. So what's the excuse? How would they have cheated with pitching, right? What, did they douse the ball in spider tack? Was the glove just pure Vaseline? What's going on? How do you cheat on the mound? Their sign stealing didn't affect us. We just didn't score. That's it. The Astros beat us. And they beat us in 2015 in the wild card game, and they beat us in 2019 in the ALCS again. How many times are you going to blame them? We just can't beat them when it matters. And again, going back to
beat when it matters.
Right. And going back to the fans, a lot of these fans are the ones screaming, I can't have Correa on my team because he's a cheater. Well, then you should be 100% behind Cashman's statements.
Yeah.
But it's not true, though, because they didn't cost us a championship. The Yankees did. And Brian Cashman saying that he's signed well and all this stuff, he had an opportunity to get both Stanton and Cole in the same offseason and didn't do it because he didn't want to trade certain prospects that he didn't use. Think about 2018, how different it would have been had we made that trade with Pittsburgh to get Garrett Cole.
Yep.
We're probably beating Boston in that series, with Cole on the mound, and it just, you think about the chances he's missed with signings because of a budget. We could have had Harper, and it wouldn't have handicapped us from getting Cole. We could have had Machado if we wanted. We could have gotten any of these guys. The Yankees just don't want to do that anymore. They want to keep spending huge every offseason. I get it, but you have the chance to get generational players. All it costs you is money, and you don't do it. And now this is desperation from Brian Cashman because, like Donald said, the narrative's changing with him. More and more people with each passing day are like, this guy's full of himself. This guy's full of it. He's full of the BS. And now he's seeing that, so he's trying to be like, I got to get them back on my side. It's the Astros' fault. He remembers how 15,000 sounded like 50,000 last year when the Astros came to town. He loved that. He's like, well, guess what? They still hate Houston. Let me use it. Blaming the Astros for our offense failing? Like, did he not watch the series? Everything. Like, just go back and look at the statistics. We lost the first 2 games combined 4-2. That's not sign stealing. That's just us not being able to hit. So Brian Cashman, I've been saying it for a while, and we've all been saying it. It is time for a change at the top of this organization. We need some fresh ideas, some fresh faces. Obviously, the ownership's not going to change, but it's time. Like, he's going senile. That's what I see. He's losing it. Every time he speaks, he's just saying something dumb. Like he changed up. He said early in the offseason we have latitude in the budget, but he didn't use it. And now he's saying it's Hal's fault. That's something we talked about last week. And now he's using this. Just shut up. And
Please.
All you have to do is just say, look, give us the usual nonsense. We feel like this is a championship caliber team. We made the moves that we made. Falefa improves this. Donaldson improves that, so-and-so, whatever. And just say, we feel like this is a team that we can compete with. The fans may not believe it. It's what we are expecting from Cashman. But then he comes with this nonsense. Just stop. Because it's ridiculous.
Their PR department really needs to put Cashman and Hal in a room and just tell them no more talking. Because every time they address the media, they put their foot in their mouths and piss us off. They have not said anything in the last few off seasons that have had fans go, you know what, they're onto something. I think they have the right idea. None of us have done that. Very few people, will think that they've done everything right. That's the problem. They got to keep their mouth shut. Stop. I'd rather them say nothing at this point and have us screaming that they're just letting things go than keep putting their foot in their mouth. Because that's what happens every time they address the media. It's got to stop. Because you're only embarrassing the organization and insulting the fan base like we don't know what's going on.
It puts a huge target on our back this year now. And another thing, I don't think that this is a major deal, but it is a little bit hypocritical considering the Yankees have a letter that they're campaigning to make sure is opened about what their activity is doing with sign stealing. So if it was absolutely nothing, why would the Yankees be appealing right now to make sure that this letter isn't open? It's hypocritical as far as I'm concerned. And I'm not actually saying that the Yankees said it much to do with anything. I think it's probably very little. But again, why is Cashman talking in the first place? Just shut up. You've got a season to play. If you said this 2 years ago, then okay, I will allow that. If you said this, at the time where we had the shortened season and the fans weren't allowed to vent their frustrations at the Astros, then Cashman coming out and saying, we feel hard done by, we feel robbed, then yeah, okay, I can buy that. But years later, when the Yankees have gone into a free agent market, which is probably the best free agent market in baseball history, certainly in modern baseball history over the longest period of time, certainly in our lifetime, and they spent nothing at all. They haven't signed anybody outside of their own organization. That pretty much says to me that they're desperate. They're just in desperation mode and they're clutching at straws. I mean, listen, even in the media, people are going after Brian Cashman. Mike Francesa, retired, says Cash sounds like a whiner and a loser. He also has a very selective memory. Sounds like the drought, the recent performance, and the Mets are getting to him. He says usually he's much tougher than this. I have to agree with him, whether you like Francesa or not. I completely agree with him. I think it is. I think it's a losing mentality, which is now cultivated this organization where they seem to be quite happy with mediocre and celebrate it and defend it with all they've got. It's unbelievable. All this just spin and deflection. Like, why are they not just focused on shutting up, putting the best product out there, and then talking afterwards? Talk when you've done something, when you've achieved something. The Yankees haven't won the division all that often over the past 5 years. So why is that Astros' fault as well? Like, is it the Rays' fault? Like, whose fault is it for the fact that you've underperformed over the last 12 years if you are World Series or bust, which is what you claim it was, but now it's not. So it's all narrative, it's all spin, and it's really frustrating.
No, you're right. And you think about 2017 is that was the best and worst thing that could have happened to the Yankees.
Yeah.
Because it was the worst thing because they completely missed the mark. And even though they won 100-plus games the following year and acquired the defending NL MVP, they decided we were this close to it. And I'm not even a Girardi fan. I think he's incredibly overrated by Yankee fans, but because of how bad Aaron Boone is, Girardi looks like a god next to him.
Mm-hmm.
But even I was saying Girardi deserves a second chance with that team. Run it back with that team. Give him Giancarlo Stanton. Go get him Garrett Cole because it was on the table, and run it back with that same team plus 2 really good players and see what you can do. Instead, they brought in Aaron Boone and they brought in this whole new coaching staff except for Larry Rothschild. They kept him, of all people. And they decided, let's change Gary Sanchez, even though he's coming off of 2 fantastic seasons to start his career. Let's change everything that was working in our rebuild. Took 1 year. And they said, oh, now's the time to change everything. Like, why? Just run it back with at least 1 more year. Give Girardi a year plus an option or something and see what he does. Give him a year-by-year basis at that point. 2017 was his best year as manager. I don't care about 09. He should have won in 09. They should have won more championships with that team from 09 to 2012. But that's when you bring in the inexperienced manager for a championship contending team. At that point, the Yankees became a contender after 2017. They're like, Aaron Judge is legit. Sanchez is legit. Severino's legit. They just got Stanton. You still had Hal Cashman before he did what he did. He was still playing at a good level. Gardner was still playing well. When Ellsbury was healthy, he gave you production. You had a roster, and you had Tanaka, you had CeCe. I can keep going on and on. The team was ready, and you decided, well, we need a new manager. It's going to be friendly. So this is what we mean. And even though they won a lot of games the next 2 years, the roster's good enough. What have we done? So who's to blame? Is it still the sign-stealing Astros? Because, again, just go to Baseball Reference, go to any website that shows you the games. They beat us fair and square in their stadium, and it had nothing to do with sign-stealing. Because if they were stealing signs and only scored 4 runs in 2 games, they're not very good at it. And then you went and hired Carlos Beltran back, by the way. Just saying that.
You hired Carlos Beltran back, yeah. You signed Marvin Gonzalez. So, I mean, how much of a big deal is this, really? I mean, it's another hole in his argument. You know, that's a hole in his argument right there. We're signing Marvin Gonzalez. We're bringing back Beltran, but oh yeah, we're hard done by. And you're right. What you said about Joe Girardi is spot on. That's another hole in his argument. If the only thing that stopped the Yankees from winning the World Series that year was the sign stealing, then why did you fire Joe Girardi right after it? Yeah. Obviously, he had nothing to do with it. So, like, again, there's a hole in his argument. That's exactly the argument that Mad Dog used on Sirius XM a couple of days ago. He said that exactly. The only person that he actually feels bad for in this whole situation is actually Joe Girardi. He got screwed. He got completely screwed out of this scenario. So, that's another hole in his argument. And it's all just like spinning, like self-preservation. If you really just went through all his arguments one through one, you could pick it apart easily. Because Cashman is such a spin artist and a politician. He'd be an amazing lobbyist. He should go into politics when he's finished because he'd be phenomenal. I mean,
he'll
obviously,
get people to believe him. You know,
oh yeah,
he's a good liar.
He's
a
got
good
half the
politician.
country believing him. Exactly.
No, because believe me,
Half the
we've
fan
been
base
listening.
believes him.
You won't get any votes from New Yorkers, I'll tell you that.
No, not me. But you know what I mean? I mean, it's a skill set.
Yeah.
It's freaking amazing because he's using all of it. He's using his media. He's using his media influence. He's using, whatever influence he has in certain areas of the fan base. And it's just spread misinformation, spread spin. And then he comes out and with his narratives and it changes the dime. Just like a politician, you'll say one thing the week before, you'll say it's completely different the next week, and no one calls him out on it. I mean, it's ridiculous. Have some accountability. All I'm asking is accountability. I need to do better. That's all I'm asking for.
Yeah, if you're going to represent New York, have a New York mentality. Stand on your own feet. Admit when you make a mistake. Know when to push your chest out and when to say, I'm wrong. It's having a backbone. And that's what this team needs representation of, a backbone. These guys are just now these silver spoon owners and GMs who it doesn't matter what I do, I'm making my money. The money's going to keep coming in because Yankee Stadium now is not for the fans. It's for the, it's a tourist attraction. Like Madison Square Garden. It doesn't matter how bad the product is, it's going to sell out. Because the prestige of saying I was there, I was at the stadium, I was at the Garden. They're kind of the owners and the people that are running these organizations really are just lost, and it's the fans that are suffering, not them.
But it's just all the lies that come from the organization from top down, like the fact that they're we've talked about it already enough. But the bondsman argument, like, we don't care. You're worth $6 billion. Oh, I'm sorry, Thomas. Oh, $6 billion to an organization. You're going to tell me that your bondsman is what's keeping you from signing one of the best shortstops to hit the market, best shortstop market we've had probably ever. 5 different all-star caliber free agents at a position that you said was a necessity. Now, again, I like Falefa, but you could have had him and have him play another position, and you still could have signed one of those guys. And you complained that the budget wasn't there. And then you were going to sign Verlander if he accepted. So did they really care about the Astros? Again, that's another guy.
Good point.
Jesus Christ.
So, what did it matter? You signed Garrett Cole. He was with Houston while they were doing it. He wasn't there in 2017, but they were still using those tactics the following couple of years until they got caught, I believe, something like that, whatever. But you had no problem bringing in former Astros players, trying to get them, hiring Beltran, and you just had him talk about it on the Michael Kay show about the whole sign stealing thing. So does it really matter at this point? Now you decide that was the reason. But everything you've done since then just completely nullifies that. Like, you should have been using it, like Donald said, as something to build, like, hey, guys, we feel like we were screwed out of something. Let's go out there and get it. Instead, you changed a lot. You went with a kind of more friendly team approach, and it's just such desperation. Stop lying to us. We can see it. 2017 was the most fun we've had as a fan base in a while because there were no expectations. The team was one win away from a pennant, and we're like, this is something special. Let's run it back. No. We're going to bring in, out of all the candidates, too, that you could have hired when you fired Girardi, you had plenty of guys available Girardi with, and you chose the least qualified one. So, again, things like that, and there's a reason why we haven't gotten to where we want to go. The piece that the roster's good, yeah, you're putting money into the team, sure, but it's not the allocation's not right, and they just keep using money as an excuse why they can't sign certain players, but then you turn around and you pay Donaldson $25 million. Again, he's going to be good for us, but you look at it, you just traded for a 36-year-old making $25 million when you could have signed a 27-year-old for a few more million a year. It's just the narrative of it, everything, just like everything he does, and then you hear him try to explain, like, just say you made the move, we felt like it was a good fit, and move on. Give us the usual GM, the generic GM response. Stop trying to make yourself out to be smarter than everybody, because it's clear as day you're
Yeah.
not.
There you go. You just walked into what this is all about is his ego. His ego has been hurt by the fact the Yankees haven't won since 2009. That's basically what he's saying right here. So he's using excuses. It's all ego based. Cashman has it exactly as he wants it, right? He has his puppet manager, which he's always wanted, right? And he's now moved completely to data driven everything, right? And because the great thing about being data driven is that you can just rely on the numbers. So if the things go wrong, you just go, hey, well, the numbers told us this was the right thing to do. Win some, you lose some, right? So that takes away more accountability, right? You've got a puppet manager, again, takes away more accountability. And then, he isn't keen on spending because he thinks he can outthink the Rays because it's all ego based. He thinks he thinks he can compete with the Rays because he's smarter than them, which he's not. But he also isn't keen on trading anyone because he's Stick Michael, So you got to keep hold of all these prospects as he thinks they're all going to turn out into, again, to boost his ego if they all turn out great. But he doesn't actually have a plan to use any of them. So it's all ego based. He's kind of like, I'm developing all these prospects on the next Stick Michael, but I don't want to spend too much because then people are going to say that we're not winning it the right way. So in order to win the right way, I need to outthink the Rays as well. But you can't half-ass two things. You have to whole-ass one thing. You have to choose one thing that you're really good at. And I'm sorry, but the only thing that I've seen over the last 20 years that Cashman's actually good at is spending money. So go freaking spend it, bro. It's all ego-based, man. Honestly, and that's why he's saying that they've not won in 2009, blaming it on the Astros, because his ego has been hurt by the fact that people are starting to look at his direction now. He doesn't like it.
No, it's the optics everything that he says is just trash.
Yes,
that's all it is. That's all I can say. He's just trash. He doesn't care. He's lost complete focus of what the goal is, and he tries to walk so many things back. He's not even able to walk forward anymore. And just move on. You want to get all this bad shit off your back. Win. That's all. Just put the best team together that you have the opportunity to do. Don't pass up on guys because you want to save a little bit because you might want to get somebody else that's not even available or doesn't want to come to the team. Put your money where your mouth is. You want to boast your chest that you're the Yankees and we're the most successful franchise. Well, not lately, not in this century. We're average, we're mediocre.
It's delusion. Remember when Aaron Boone said the league is catching up on them?
They passed them by. Come on.
I know, it's more delusion. Sorry, Rob, finish your point.
No, we were lapped. The league caught up to us and then lapped us. That's what happened. And it's when they're basically making our whole plan around a 20-year-old shortstop who hasn't played above A-ball yet. And I love Volpe a lot, and I can't stress that enough. I'm a prospect guy. But when you refuse to sign anybody because of a 20-year-old that could make it at the big league level, that's bad. That's just bad planning for a team that has the resources to do it. That's what the Pittsburgh Pirates should be doing. That's something the Oakland Athletics should be doing, who, by the way, are about to have like a $30 million payroll. That's disgusting. But you don't do that when you're a team that has the highest payroll in its history. You're doing that. You're talking about your payroll, but then you're saying, but you don't want to sign Carlos Correa, who's a guy that's going to help right now and next year and the year after that. He's not even 30 yet. You're going to get at least 3, probably 4 elite years out of him before the inevitable decline could come. You sign him to a 6-year, 7-year deal, whatever, you're going to get 4, maybe 5 excellent seasons out of him. And you could still have Volpe. You know, you can still keep Volpe. We've said this enough, but they're basing everything about what Anthony Volpe could be. And where are you going to – we know you can play all these guys, right? Volpe can play short. Peraza can play second. Cabrera can play second. But you still have Arias. You still have Sweeney. You still have Vargas. How many shortstops do you need, Brian Cashman? You're not going to use all these prospects at the same position. You have 4 infield spots. You got 7 or 8 different guys that can play them. So you're not moving players to improve the roster. You're not spending the money to improve the roster. And when every offseason, when we fail to win the World Series, the ownership says, we want to win. We want to give our fans what they want. And then your response to that was, you gave us all the ideas you're about to spend. You know, we got latitude. We need to improve shortstop. And your biggest acquisition was Josh Donaldson, who's good, yes, but again, I can't stress it enough. You had other options. You gave us the impression that you're about to go all in like you did in 2009 to bring in the player to make us win. Screw the payroll. Who cares? We want to win. And you didn't do it. And the players are there. Robbie Ray is one of Brian Cashman's favorite players. He wanted to get him when he sucked with Arizona, and he had a chance to get him coming off a Cy Young Award-winning season. Didn't do it. Correa was there. Story, Baez, the list goes on. Starling Marte was there. Apparently, Brian Reynolds is on the market at this point. Minaya just got traded for a couple of lower, not even top 10 prospects from San Diego. I mean, these guys are there, and you're hugging prospects. You're neglecting to spend the money, even though the payroll's high. It's just, what is it? Stop lying to us. The options were all out there this entire offseason. And the only good moves that he's made were in the last couple of days, where he traded from strength to get a backup catcher that we needed, and then just a relief pitcher swap. Those are Brian Cashman's best moves, when he just trades from a position of strength. Everything else is just whatever. Just do you, Cashman. That's why I wanted him out. But as long as Boone's here, Cashman ain't going anywhere. And guess what? We got another at least 3 years of it. So,
And the worst thing about the Volpe thing is by saying that you're not going to bring in Correa, you're not going to bring in Stowe, you're going to bring in Seager, and you're not going to use him as a piece to go and acquire Olsen, you're basically telling everyone that Volpe is going to be as good as them. It's a hell of a lot of pressure on a kid that's not even reached AA yet. He's just starting AA this year. That's an incredible amount of pressure to put on a kid. It's actually inexcusable, the amount of pressure putting on this kid.
It's unfair pressure.
They're kind of saying that he's going to be as good as Olsen and Korea and stuff. That's why they're not going to use him as a piece. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, and also there is actually no excuse anyway, because I mean, let's be quite honest. They've acquired one of Korea or Story, and it wouldn't have any effect on Volpe coming up in a couple of years' time. In fact, it would have benefited him. So again, it's all just crap. It's all just crap, and it's also unfair treatment. And even if you had a plan for Volpe going right, we're going all in on Volpe in 2 years' time. I've also got Peraza, who there isn't necessarily a spot for coming up. So then you would think, if the Yankees are trying to win now, that they could have made Peraza available for a trade to get a top guy that can help them win now, considering Volpe is going to be their future at shortstop, because you can't just have 2 shortstops. It's again, there's the narrative with that. It's, you can pick holes in all through Cashman's argument. He really, I really think this is all ego based, man, because he doesn't want to trade his prospects because he thinks he's like a guru at developing, but he also doesn't want to spend because then he doesn't want people to say the Yankees aren't winning the right way. Because all this is about, oh, we've won the right way. Oh, we didn't win in 2017 because we did things the right way. They did things the wrong way. There's no such thing as right way and wrong way. I'm sorry. You know, did anybody complain when the Yankees won every single title and then in the late 90s, that the Yankees did things the wrong way because they had the highest payroll? No, give me a break. Did the Yankees complain in 2009 when they spent $65 million more than any other team to win the World Series in 2009? Did the Yankees then go and say, but we won the wrong way? No, there's no such thing as winning the wrong way. You go and win the way that you are able to win. And that's a great thing about being the Yankees and being the $6 billion franchise. You got the money to go and make yourself pretty damn good. So I just think this is all I think this is all just spin. And I'm sorry, losers make excuses. And I hate that. I hate excuses. I really don't like it.
Well, yeah. Well, I think that's gonna pretty much wrap it up right there. This is just Cashman just can't get out of his own way. Hal doesn't know when to keep quiet, and the fans have had enough. That's the whole thing. That's everything in a nutshell.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, go ahead.
His timing of saying this is so terrible because the season's right around the corner, and I'm very excited for the season actually because I think this is going to be a fun team to watch. They seem to be really having they're getting along well, which is a good thing when players have some sort of camaraderie, especially in the spring. Mm-hmm. Donaldson, who people thought was never going to get along with this team, seems like he's fitting right in. It's going to be. I feel like it's going to be a really fun year. Yeah. And then he comes out and says this to get the fans pissed off. Like everyone was kind of like, hey, I'm kind of excited, even though, my expectations are not as high as they should be. But you know what? This could be a fun team where last year was unwatchable. It's like these guys, we see improvements out of LeMahieu and Torres in the spring. We need that. Donaldson's hitting. Higgy's going crazy right now. I know it's only spring, but people are excited. Like Severino looked great in his last outing, which is a good sign. And he comes out and says this, and everyone's just like, what's wrong with you? He just completely killed the mood. I was feeling great, and then my GM comes out and opens his big dumb mouth, and now I'm just like, you're an idiot. I'm still ready for opening day, but come on, man, read the room. People were excited. All you had to do was just keep your mouth shut and say, hey, here's an Aaron Judge extension. Get even more excited. And everyone was like, all right, you know what? Your offseason wasn't the best it could have been, but you had to go and open your mouth. Shut up.
What is happening with this Aaron Judge extension? Because Aaron Judge says he's not going to discuss an extension once the season starts. So where are we with this? Are you guys updates? 3 days?
Nothing yet. They got 3 days till the season starts. So if they're not going to do it, it's probably going to be. They got to get it done. They let him test.
I think there was a statement that was also put out from Judge that, once the season starts, if the process is already in motion, where he doesn't, he could just focus on the game, then it might be a couple, it might go a week into the season and there's still a chance he could be signed. And so if they're just going over the legal language of it, we might not hear about it until everything is signed, but just because it's opening day doesn't mean that the talks have completely ended. It might take a couple weeks into the season for them to say we weren't able to reach an agreement, but the talks, the talking is open with the agency, and at the end of the season, Judge will make a decision. I think that's how it's going to play out.
It should have been done by now. It should have been there.
It should have been done a couple years ago.
Yeah, it should have been done after 2017. Kind of like
you.
what San Diego did with Tatis. They should have said, "Hey, you're the real deal. Buy out arbitration and give him a couple of years, maybe 3-4 years afterwards."
They did it with Severino. Look at the deal that they got from him.
But you know what? It goes back to the ego. Brian Cashman's like, I got an MVP for the league minimum arbitration. I can't have any better than this. When they could have just said, hey, guess what, guys? The fans love this guy already. They built something in the stadium for him. They didn't even do that for Jeter. They have a section in the stadium for him. And they should have right then and there said, that's your franchise right there. That's the face of the franchise. We're putting everything into him, and extended him right on the spot after 2017. And now, I feel like they're going to get it done. You risk him going to free agency and someone saying the Yankees are going to pay you $220 something, whatever. We'll give you $300. That's possible. And he says, well, can't pass up. That's life-changing money. I'm just saying, if we lose him because Brian Cashman tried to get cheap, then no fan's going to do a single word he has to say anymore.
Well, yeah, Cashman's trying to get cute. I don't know about cheap. He's definitely trying to get cute. There's really no excuse to have signed Judge after his MVP caliber season years ago. The fact that they prioritized Hicks and Severino when they were not priorities instead of Aaron Judge just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. I mean, if you go to the stage here where the Yankees had this high a payroll, well, you could at least say, but listen, we've got our franchise player tied down. At least we've got that. But we've actually got this high payroll without having Aaron Judge tied down, and a risk of the New York Mets owner, who is a very real risk now when any player goes to free agency, of offering double what the Yankees could offer at this stage. You know, because it's real, very, very real, because he just did it already. So there's I think the Yankees are trying to get a little cute here. They backed themselves in a corner when they already said last week that the reason why they didn't make any moves is partly because they will try to keep their powder dry in order to re-sign Aaron Judge. So okay, the fact that they've not done it yet is really just, it just sounds like a whole lot of.
No, I think if it was a regular off season, it would have been done. I really do. He was already on the roster, and Cashman, as bad as his off season was, he was just trying to get some positions filled up. But the problem with the whole thing, and it goes back to, the whole, Brian Cashman has no grasp of public relations. He made the statement when Glaber had his phenomenal year, when everybody was asking, for him in trades. He's like, I got to walk around this city. Could you imagine if he doesn't get the Judge signed? He's going to have to move out of the state. He's, you got to be careful. You got to put, walk the walk, talk the talk. Cashman has no clue what he's doing. He says these things in these press conferences that now it's only 2 years after the whole Glaber thing is removed. Now he wants to pussyfoot with the Judge contract. Well, he's still got to walk around the town. Could you imagine going to Yankee Stadium after losing Judge? Forget it. He's going to need his own private entrance, and it's going to be insane. He's not going to be able to go to the stadium because if anybody sees him, that's going to be the end of him.
I think the Yankees are more than aware of that, though. It will get done.
I got you, Rob.
This contract will get done. It's not that I'm saying that there's a real genuine risk of it not getting done, but I mean, now that the Mets owner is sitting there waiting, because I'm sure he'd love an outfielder, it's a real risk now that the Yankees never had to worry about. They ran this town, they ran this state for God knows how long. So they had awful eyes on the major free agents. They don't have that now. They've got an owner, they've got a better owner across the river in Queenstown that they never had to worry about. So something that's very real. The Yankees have to re-sign Aaron Judge because Brian Cashman said a couple of days ago that they're keeping their ink dry, their powder dry, whatever the term was, to re-sign Aaron Judge. They have to do that now because then it would make Aaron Judge Cashman look ridiculous if they did it. But again, he's been saying crazy things before, and then gone and changed his mind 2 weeks later, saying I never said that. So I mean, it's just God knows, but we will get Aaron Judge done. But again, it's not great that it's not been done to this point. It's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, it'll be done. I'm not worried about that. It's gonna be fine.
No,
Judge isn't going anywhere. I'm not getting myself into next off season. We're barely done with this one, but I still think it might be a couple of days into the season, like I said a few minutes ago. I think that's how it's going to play out. But how our week is going to play out is we are going to be having a lot of fun with opening day this week. Wednesday, the day before opening day, we have some special guests scheduled to come on and preview the season start. And then opening day, we will be live a couple of times during the day. Our pregame show will be, live at 9:30 on YouTube. And we will also be doing an in-game, throughout the whole game. We'll have a link open so people could jump on, hang out with us for a little bit. Whether you want to hang out for an inning, 5 minutes, say hello. Send a message to any of us on our social media. We'll make sure to get you the links to it. So it's going to be a really fun week here. The girls from the upper deck will be joining us as well. So, the whole Chronicles crew will be together. It's just going to be a really fun day. It's going to be a party. and everybody's invited.
To follow up what you're saying, we're working hard to get some really good special guests here to come on our show. So keep an eye out. We got Tom and Eddie coming on day before opening day, which is going to be fun. We've also some Apple game coming on very, very soon. And we've got some other special guests that will be a surprise that we can present to you guys once it's done. So just keep an eye out, keep watching our pod, because I think it's going to be a fun season.
Yeah. We don't want to put any names out yet because we don't want to put anybody on the spot. Because some people, all the people have their own shows that they work on that may have something come up that they can't make it. So we don't want to put them on the spot. But regardless, it's just going to be a really fun week. It's going to be a really fun season. We're really glad that we were able to put this all together and have like a full day party on the Chronicles podcast. So just remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check out our social medias. Let us know if you want to be in on the party. We will send you an invite. And just remember, wear your pinstripes with pride and play hard.